Hi everyone, welcome to the continent of Africa. This is a brief explanation of the following items on each of the country measured on this channel: the geography, the culture, the languages, climate, tourism, some of the emblematic places of interest, and the diversity of the ethnic groups living in harmony in one country. I wish you will broaden your knowledge by listening to the video. I believe that joining effort will make it possible to improve the cross-cultural understanding and global awareness among the nations in order to develop perception and inclusion of the strange. I thank you so much for your time and interest. Welcome to Nigeria. Here goes the geography. Federal Republic of Nigeria, commonly referred to as Nigeria, is a federal constitutional republic in West Africa with an area of 923,768 square kilometers and a population of about 175 million inhabitants. Nigeria is divided into 36 states and one federal capital territory, which are further subdivided into 774 local government areas. Its capital is Abuja. It borders Benin in the west, Chad and Cameroon in the east, and Niger in the north. Its coast in the south lies on the Gulf of Guinea in the Atlantic Ocean. Nigeria became a formally independent federation in 1960. Ethnic groups. I've selected the ethnic groups with higher population and the languages widely spoken among the nation. Nigeria has more than 500 ethnic groups with varying languages and customs, creating a country of rich ethnic diversity. The largest ethnic groups are the Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and Fulani, accounting for more than 70% of the population, while the Edo, Ijo, Kanuri, Ibibo, Bira, Nupe, Wari, Sekiri, Jukun, Uhobo, Igala, Idoma, and Tiv comprise between 25 and 30%. Other minorities make up the remaining 5%. The Middle Belt of Nigeria is known for its diversity of ethnic groups, including the Yam, Jomai, and Kofia. The official population total of each of Nigeria's ethnicities has always remained controversial and disputed among the members of different ethnic groups. There are small minorities of British, American, East Indian, Chinese, white Zimbabwean, Japanese, Greek, Syrian, and Lebanese immigrants in Nigeria. Immigrants also include those from other West Africa or East African nations. These minorities mostly reside in major cities such as Lagos and Abuja or in the Niger Delta as employees for the major oil companies. Languages. There are about 500 languages that are spoken in Nigeria. In some areas of Nigeria, ethnic groups speak more than one language. The official language of Nigeria is English, which was chosen to facilitate the cultural and linguistic unity of the country, owing to the influence of British colonization that ended in 1960. Many French speakers from surrounding countries have influenced the English spoken in the border regions of Nigeria, and some Nigerian citizens have become fluent enough in French to work in the surrounding countries. The French spoken in Nigeria may be mixed with some native languages, but is mostly spoken like the French spoken in Benin. French may also be mixed with English as it is in Cameroon. Most of the population speaks English and their native language. The major languages spoken in Nigeria represent three major families of languages of Africa. The majority are Niger-Congo languages, such as Igbo, Yoruba, and Fulfulde. Kanuri, spoken in the northeast, primarily in Borno and Yobe State, is part of the Nilo-Saharan family, and Hausa, an Afro-Asiatic language, even though most ethnic groups prefer to communicate in their own languages. English as the official language is widely used for education, business transactions, and for official purposes. English as a first language is used only by a small minority of the country's urban elite, and it is not spoken at all in some rural areas. Hausa is the most widely spoken of the three main languages spoken in Nigeria itself: Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba. But unlike the Yorubas and Igbos, the Hausas tend not to travel far outside Nigeria itself. Nigeria Pidgin English, often known simply as Pidgin or Broken English, is also a popular lingua franca, though with varying regional influences on dialect and slang. The Pidgin English or Nigerian English is widely spoken within the Niger Delta regions. Culture. And on the other hand, it might be of interest to know some of the emblematic places for cultural and tourism purposes. Nigerian citizens have authored many influential works of post-colonial literature in the English language. Music and film. Nigeria has had a huge role in the development of various genres of African music, including West African highlife, Afrobeat, and palm wine music, which fuses native rhythms with techniques that have been linked to the Congo, Brazil, Cuba, Jamaica, and worldwide. Many late 20th century musicians, such as Fela Kuti, have famously fused cultural elements of various indigenous music with American jazz and soul to form Afrobeat, which has in turn influenced hip-hop music. Juju music, which is percussion music fused with traditional music now from the Yoruba nation and made famous by King Sunny Ade, is also from Nigeria. There is also Fuji music, a Yoruba percussion style created and popularized by Mr. Fuji and other notable musicians that we should not forget. Though not mentioned, in November 2008, Nigeria's music scene and that of Africa received international attention when MTV hosted the continent's first African Music Award show in Abuja. The Nigerian film industry is known as Nollywood, a portmanteau of Nigeria and Hollywood, and is now the second largest producer of movies in the world. Nigeria film studios are based in Lagos and Enugu, forming a major portion of the local economy of these cities. Nigeria cinema is Africa's largest movie industry in terms of both value and the number of movies produced per year. Although Nigerian films have been produced since the 1960s, the country's film industry has been aided by the rise of affordable digital filming and editing technologies. Climate. The climate of Nigeria is tropical. However, there are wide climatic variations in different regions of the country. Near the coast, temperatures seldom exceed 32 degrees centigrade, but humidity is very high and nights are very hot, whereas in the inland there are two different seasons. Wet season from April to October with lower monthly temperatures, and the wettest months being July and August, and a dry season from November to March with midday temperature that rise above 8 degrees centigrade, but relatively cool nights, dropping as low as 12 degrees centigrade. Tourism. The tourism sector in Nigeria is not well developed in comparison to the music and the film industry and other sectors that generate the country's revenues. Instead, the tourism sector focuses mainly on the different events performed by the diverse ethnic groups and their lifestyle. However, there are many beautiful natural sites in most of the main regions, and the rainforests, savannas, waterfalls from the Niger Delta River, Cross River National Park, Chad Basin National Park, Yankari National Parks, Okomu National Parks, Gaskag Gumiti National Parks, among many others, where you will feel the taste of African wildlife and waterfalls. And if you are interested in arts, there are lots of museums to visit, such as Benin City National Museum, Jidan Makama Museum in Kano, National Gallery of Modern Art in Lagos, Kaduna Museum, Nigerian National Museum, National Museum of Colonial History in Aba, War Museum in Umuahia, and many others that portray the traditions and customs of the diverse ethnic groups living in the country. There are both luxury and cheap hotels to stay. On the other hand, the road infrastructure is generally acceptable, and the water and electricity power supply are not adequate in some regions, since most of these facilities are managed by private sectors. Hi everyone, welcome to the continent of Africa. This is a brief explanation of the following items on each of the country measured on this channel: the geography, the culture, the languages, climate, tourism, some of the emblematic places of interest, and the diversity of the ethnic groups living in harmony in one country. I wish you will broaden your knowledge by listening to the video. I believe that joining effort will make it possible to improve the cross-cultural understanding and global awareness among the nations in order to develop perception and inclusion of the strange. I thank you so much for your time and interest. Welcome to Benin. Here goes the geography. Benin, a French-speaking West African nation, officially the Republic of Benin, formerly called Dahomey. The capital of Benin is Porto Novo, but the seat of government is in Cotonou, the country's largest city and economic capital. Benin covers an area of approximately 115,000 square kilometers, with a population of approximately 10.32 million inhabitants. It is bordered by Togo to the west by Nigeria to the east and by Burkina Faso and Niger to the north. A majority of the population live on its small southern coastline on the Bight of Benin, part of the Gulf of Guinea in the northernmost tropical portion of the Atlantic Ocean. Benin became fully independent on August 1, 1960. However, I have selected in random the ethnic groups with higher population and the languages widely spoken among the nation. About 42 African ethnic groups live in Benin. These various groups settled in this country at different times and also migrated within the country. They include the Yoruba in the southeast, migrated from what is now Nigeria in the 12th century. The Dendi in the north central area, they came from what is now Mali in the 16th century. The Baribar and the Fula of Fulani in the northeast. The Betamaribe and the Somber in the Atakora range. The Fon in the area around Aboni in the south central. And the Mina, Zweda, and Aja, who came from what is now Togo in the 12th century on the coast. Languages. The official language of Benin is French. However, indigenous languages such as Fon and Yoruba are commonly spoken. Local languages are used as the languages of instruction in elementary schools, with French only introduced after several years. In the cities, however, French is usually taught at an earlier age. Beninese languages are generally transcribed with a separate letter for each speech, which differ from another according to the ethnic group and is used as tune marks. In French publications, a mixture of French and Beninese orthographies may be seen. However, English is also spoken by a majority due to its proximity to Nigeria. And on the other hand, it might be of interest to know some of the emblematic places for cultural and tourism purposes. The culture. Beninese literature had a strong oral tradition long before French became the dominant language. Felix Cochoro wrote the first Beninese novel, L'Esclave, in 1929. Post-independence, the country was home to a vibrant and innovative music scene where native folk music combined with Ghanaian high life, French cabaret, American rock, funk and soul, and Congolese rumba. The climate. Benin's climate is hot and humid. Annual rainfall in the coastal area is abundant. Benin has two seasons, the rainy season and the dry season. The principal rainy season is from April to late July, with a short, less intensive raining period from late September to November. The main dry season is from December to April, with a short, cooler dry season from late July to early September. Temperatures and humidity are high along the tropical coast. In Cotonou, the average maximum temperature is about 31 degrees centigrade. The minimum is about 24 degrees centigrade. Variations in temperature increase when moving north through a savanna and plateau towards the Sahel. A dry wind from the Sahara called the Harmattan blows from December to March, during which grass dries up. The vegetation turns reddish brown. It is also the season when local farmers burn boughs in the fields for harvest. Tourism. Cotonou harbors the country's only seaport and international airport. A new port is currently under construction between Cotonou and Porto Novo. Benin is connected by 2-lane asphalted roads to its neighboring countries, Togo, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Nigeria. Mobile telephone service is available across the country through various operators. Benin is connected to the internet by way of satellite connection since 1998 and a single submarine cable since 2001, keeping the price of data extremely high. Relief is expected with initiation of the African coast to Europe cable in 2011. Benin has fields of line fallow, mangroves, and remnants of large sacred forests. In the rest of the country, the savanna is covered with thorny scrubs and dotted with huge baobab trees. Some forests line the banks of rivers. In the north and the northwest of Benin, the reserve of Niger and Penjari National Park attracts tourists eager to see elephants, lions, antelopes, hippos, and monkeys. Penjari National Park, together with the bordering parks Arli in Burkina Faso and Niger, is one of the most important strongholds for the endangered West African lions. The Arli Penjari harbors the largest remaining population of lions in West Africa. Historically, Benin has served as habitat for the endangered painted hunting dog. However, this canid is thought to have been locally eradicated. Hi everyone, welcome to the continent of Africa. This is a brief explanation of the following items on each of the country measured on this channel: the geography, the culture, the languages, climate, tourism, some of the emblematic places of interest, and the diversity of the ethnic groups living in harmony in one country. I wish you will broaden your knowledge by listening to the video. I believe that joining effort will make it possible to improve the cross-cultural understanding and global awareness among the nations in order to develop perception and inclusion of the strange. I thank you so much for your time and interest. Welcome to Senegal. Here goes the geography. The Republic of Senegal is a country on Africa's west coast known for its French colonial heritage and natural attractions. It is the westernmost country in the mainland of the Old World and owes its name to the Senegal River that borders it to the east and north. Senegal covers a land area of almost 197,000 square kilometers, with a population of 14.13 million inhabitants. That's the 2013 census estimate. Senegal's capital and largest city is Dakar. Senegal peacefully attained independence from France in 1960 and has since been among the more politically stable countries in Africa. Ethnic groups have selected the ethnic groups with higher population and languages widely spoken among the nation. Senegal has a wide variety of ethnic groups, and as in most West African countries, several languages are widely spoken. The Wolof is the largest single ethnic group in Senegal. The Fula and Tukulere, also known as Halpulaar. Literally, Pulaar speakers are the second biggest group, followed by the Serer and a range of others such as Jola, Mandinka, More, Soninké, Bassari, and many smaller communities. Europeans, mostly French and Lebanese, as well as smaller numbers of Mauritanians and Moroccans reside in Senegal, mainly in the cities. Also located primarily in urban areas are small Vietnamese communities, as well as a great number of Chinese immigrants, traders, each numbering perhaps a few hundred people. There are also tens of thousands of Mauritanian refugees in Senegal, primarily in the country's north. Languages. French is the official language used regularly by a minority of Senegalese educators in assistant style upon the colonial era schools of French origin. Quranic schools are even more popular, but Arabic is not widely spoken outside of this context of recitation. Most people also speak their own ethnic language, while especially in Dakar, Wolof is the lingua franca. Pulaar is spoken by the Fulas and Tukulere. The Serer language is widely spoken by both Serers and non-Serers. So, the Kangi languages whose speakers are ethnically Serers. Jola languages are widely spoken in the Casamance. Several of the Senegalese languages have the legal status of national languages. Balanta Ganja, Hassaya, Jola Fonyi, Mandinka, Manja, Mankanya, that's the non-Serer non, Pula, Serer, Soninké, and Wolof. Portuguese Creole, locally known as Portuguese, is a prominent minority language spoken by local Portuguese immigrants from Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde. Portuguese was introduced in Senegal's secondary school in 1961 in Dakar by the country's first president, Léopold Sédar Senghor. It is currently available in most of Senegal and in higher education. It is especially prevalent in Casamance as it relates with the local cultural identity. Climate. The climate is tropical and alternates between a dry season and rainy season. It is characterized with pleasant heat throughout the year, with sunny, dry and humid seasons that result from northeast winter winds and southwest summer winds. The dry season, December to April, is dominated by hot, dry Harmattan wind. Its annual rainfall is low as from June to October, and the average temperature is from 24 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade, with light variation from December to February. However, The interior temperatures are higher than along the coast, and rainfall increases substantially further south and intensive in some areas. In the far interior, particularly on the border of Mali, where desert begins, temperatures can reach above 50 degrees centigrade. The central part has a hot semi-arid climate, and the southernmost part with a tropical wet and dry climate. Culture. And on the other hand, it might be of interest to know some of the emblematic places for cultural and tourism purposes. Senegal is well known for the West African tradition of storytelling, which is done by griots, who have kept West African history alive for thousands of years through words and music. The griot profession is passed down generation to generation and requires years of training and apprenticeship in genealogy, history, and music. Griots give voice to generations of West African society. Cuisine and music are very important in Senegalese society because of its geographical situation on the Atlantic Ocean and its musical heritage. Tourism. Tourism has grown to be an important part of the Senegalese economy as from 1970. Club Med Resort. Since the 1990s, Senegal has made an effort to reach beyond visitors from the former colonial power France, taking a look at the neighboring country Gambia, which draws a relatively larger tourist share from northern Iran and the Americans to its capital city, coastal resort. Principal cities of interest include the capital, Dakar, St. Louis, and an old colonial town, and the Mouride, holy center of Touba, Gorée Island, formerly a center of the West African slave trade and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, draws many visitors. Most tourists from outside Africa are Europeans, especially French, and a hotel and resort industry center on enclosed beach resorts. Resort vacations are often supplemented by wildlife and nature tours of areas like the Cine Salon, Delta, the Grande Côte north of Dakar, Lac Rose, and Senegal River Delta in the north. Near St. Louis, historic sites around Dakar, Gorée Island, museums, and monuments draw visitors. To the north, the colonial island town of St. Louis is visited for its long history and colonial architecture. Senegal has a small but developing national park and reserve system. Notable among these are the Laguio, the Barbera National Park, and Jodi National Bird Sanctuary, which provide wildlife habitat in the dunes and mangrove swamps surrounding the mouth of the Senegal River. Hi everyone, welcome to the continent of Africa. This is a brief explanation of the following items on each of the countries measured on this channel: the geography, the culture, the languages, climate, tourism, some of the emblematic places of interest, and the diversity of the ethnic groups living in harmony in one country. I wish you will broaden your knowledge by listening to the video. I believe that joining effort will make it possible to improve the cross-cultural understanding and global awareness among the nations in order to develop perception and inclusion of the strange. I thank you so much for your time and interest. Welcome to Ghana. Here goes the geography. Ghana is a West African country with a total area of 239,460 square kilometers along the Gulf of Guinea. The capital is Accra. Ghana has a population of approximately 27 million inhabitants. It borders Côte d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast, in the west, Burkina Faso in the north, Togo in the east, and the Atlantic Ocean in the south. The Gold Coast region declared independence from the United Kingdom on the 6th of March 1957 and established the nation of Ghana. Ghana can be divided into 4 different geographical regions. The coastline is mostly a low sandy shore backed by plains and scrub, and intersected by several rivers and streams, while the northern part of Ghana features high plains. Southwest and south-central Ghana is made up of a forested plateau region consisting of the Ashanti uplands and the Kwahu Plateau. The hilly Aquapim Togo ranges are found along Ghana's eastern international border. Ethnic groups. I've selected the ethnic groups with higher population and the languages widely spoken among the nation. The vast majority of Ghana's population, about 98%, are black Africans. Ghana is a multi-ethnic country. The largest ethnic group is the Ashanti people. Ghana's territorial areas within West Africa was unoccupied and uninhabited by humans until the 10th century BC. By the 10th century AD, Akans has established Bonoman, Brong Asafo region, and we are joined by the current settlers and inhabitants in the 16th century AD. Languages. There are 11 languages that have been the status of government-sponsored languages. 4 are Akan ethnic languages: Asante, Tue, Aquapem, Tui, Mifansi, and Zema. 2 are Moldavani ethnic languages: Dagari and Dabani. The rest are Ewe, Dane, Ga, Gonja, and Kasem. However, English is the language of the state and is widely used as a lingua franca. Culture. On the other hand, it might be of interest to know some of the emblematic places for cultural and tourism purposes. Ghanaian culture is a diverse mixture of the practices and beliefs of all the different Ghanaian people. Each ethnic group has their own traditional dances and there are different dances for different occasions, such as funerals, celebrations, storytelling, praise, and worship. There are also three well-known types of music. Ethnic or traditional music, normally played during festivals and at funerals. High life music, which is a blend of traditional and imported music. And choral music, which is performed in concert halls, churches, schools, and colleges. The Panafest and African Americans with roots from the region often visit and celebrate their roots and heritage. They have never forgotten that they were taken by force as slaves to the modern world. The cuisine has diverse traditional dishes from each ethnic group. Generally, most dishes consist of a starchy portion and a sauce or soup, with fish, snails, meat, or mushrooms. The climate is tropical, and the eastern coastal belt is warm and comparatively dry. The southwest corner of Ghana is hot and humid, and the north of Ghana is hot and dry. There are two seasons, the dry season and the rainy season. Natural hazard is the dry, dusty Harmattan, which begins from January to March. The country is also disposed to drought. Tourism. Tourist arrivals to Ghana include South Americans, Asians, Europeans, and North Americans. The attractions and major tourist destinations of Ghana include a warm tropical climate year-round, diverse wildlife, a number of rivers which are found to the east of the Pearl. The two most important are the Denso and Ayenso, both of which rise in the Atewa range, and which are important as sources of water for Accra and Winneba respectively. Exotic waterfalls such as Kintampo waterfalls and the largest waterfall in West Africa, Willy Waterfalls. Ghana's coastal palm line, sandy beaches, caves, mountains, and rivers. Meteorites impact, crater and reservoirs, and lakes such as Lake Bosumbi or Bosumbi meteorite crater, and the largest man-made lake in the world by surface area. Lake Volta. Dozens of castles and forts. Those that are interested in history of the country, they may visit the well-known Gate of No Return among the World Heritage Sites. This we shall never forget. Gate of No Return. Nature reserves and national parks are characteristic of some tropical beautiful areas. Hi everyone. Welcome to the continent of Africa. This is a brief explanation of the following items on each of the country measured on this channel: the geography, the culture, the languages, climate, tourism, some of the emblematic places of interest and the diversity of the ethnic groups living in harmony in one country. I wish you will broaden your knowledge by listening to the video. I believe that joining effort will make it possible to improve the cross-cultural understanding and global awareness among the nations in order to develop perception and inclusion of the strange. I thank you so much for your time and interest. Welcome to Guinea. Here goes the geography. Guinea, officially the Republic of Guinea, is a country in West Africa, formerly known as French Guinea. It is today sometimes called Guinea-Conakry to distinguish it from its neighbors, Guinea-Bissau and Equatorial Guinea. It has a population of about 11.75 million inhabitants and an area of 245,860 square kilometers. The country is named after the Guinea region. It is a traditional name for the region of Africa that lies along the Gulf of Guinea. It stretches north through the forested tropical region and ends at the Sahel. Guinea shares its northern border with Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and Mali, and its southern border with Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire. The nation forms a semicircular as it curves from its western border on the Atlantic Ocean towards the east and the south. The sources of the Niger River, Gambia River, and Senegal River are all found in the Guinea Highlands. Guinea, under the leadership of Ahmed Sékou Touré, whose Democratic Party of Guinea voted overwhelmingly for independence. The French withdrew quickly, and on 2 October 1958, Guinea proclaimed itself a sovereign and independent republic, with Sékou Touré as president. Ethnic groups. As selected the ethnic groups with higher population and the languages widely spoken among the nation. Guinea's people belong to 24 ethnic groups. The Fulas of Fulani comprise 40% of the population and are mostly found in the Futa-Jallo region. The Mandinka, also known as Mandingo or Malinke, comprise 26% of the population and are mostly found in eastern Guinea, concentrated around the Kankan and Kisidougou regions. The Soso, comprising 11% of the population, are predominantly in western areas around the capital Conakry. Furekaria and Kindia. There are also smaller ethnic groups make up the remaining 23% of the population, including the Pele, Kisi, Zialo, Tomar, and other non-Africans who live in Guinea, predominantly Lebanese, French, and other Europeans. Languages. French, the official language of Guinea, is the main language of communication in schools, in government administration, in the media, and among the country's security forces. But more than 24 indigenous languages are also spoken. Each ethnic group speaks its modern tongue, and Many people speak more than 2 different languages. And on the other hand, it might be of interest to know some of the emblematic places for cultural and tourism purposes. Music is at the heart of Guinean culture and can traditionally be divided into types corresponding to the country's geographic and ethnologic regions. Although these local styles vary, they are all characterized by heavy use of percussion and string instruments. Handicrafts in Guinea, as elsewhere in Africa, are made of leatherwork, wood carving, and jewelry produce, which tend to be more genuinely ethnic than elsewhere in Western Africa. However, it is a multi-ethnic and secular nation. Polygamy is not prohibited by law in Guinea. UNICEF reports that more than 50% of Guinean women aged between 15 and 49 are in polygamous marriages. Cuisine. Guinean cuisine varies by region, with rice as the most common staple. Cassava is also widely consumed. Part of West African cuisine, the foods of Guinea include fufu, jollof rice, mafé, and tapalapa, bread in rural areas. Food is eaten from a large serving dish and eaten by hand outside of homes. Climate. The coastal region of Guinea and most of the inland have a tropical climate, with a dry season from December to May, with northeasterly harmattan winds, and a rainy season from April to November. The duration of these periods varies according to the climatic region. There are 4 climatic regions in Guinea. In the west, near the Atlantic, the climate is very humid. In the center, the climate is temperate. In the northeast, the climate is tropical dry, with little rainfall. In the southern part of the country, the climate is sub-equatorial, with an extended period of rainfall ranging from 6 to 8 months, and an average annual temperature of around 24 degrees centigrade to 28 degrees centigrade. Sahelian Upper Guinea has a shorter rainy season and greater daily temperature variations. Tourism. Guinea has experienced a magnificent transformation in the recent years. The train that used to operate from Conakry to Kankan ceased its activities in the middle of the decade of 1980. The internal and external flights that were intermittent are now replaced with regular flights. Most vehicles have replaced the second-handed ones. There are highway motor roads with 2 lanes on either side. The villagers without their own vehicles move freely from one city to another. There are taxis running 24 hours and small buses running around the city and throughout the country. There are boats traveling on the rivers Niger and Milo. The telecommunication services are efficient throughout the year. hotels, and resorts with adequate equipment for tourists at reasonable prices. If you are interested in adventure, there are trekking facilities and outdoor walking to the emblematic ancient sites. Horses and donkeys used to pulling carts and transportation of building materials are now modernized for sightseeing in some cities.